The following program may contain subject matter and language suitable for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
And welcome back to another exciting edition of The Meltdown. His name is Jeff.
His name is Norm.
And today we are talking about self-driving vehicles, self-driving cars. The future. Is it the future? I don't know. What do you think? It certainly seems to be. There have been many on the road now. They've been testing them like crazy. There's been some accidents. Today we're going to be focusing on self-driving cars specifically. So we've got some facts about those and some facts you may or may not have known about. Then we've got Lou Saracino in for a Meltdown Minute with Lou. And then we're going to cap it all off with some self-driving car stupidity on our stupidness. So let us aim and shoot for that target right now that is known as Meltdown Fun Facts. So we've got 10 things you might not know about self-driving cars. Here's the first. We've been talking about self-driving cars since the 1930s. The buzz surrounding self-driving cars has been growing lately, but the idea is far from novel. At the 1939 World's Fair in New York, GM's Futurama exhibit included driverless technology, and experts were sure it would be a reality by the 1960s. Clearly, we're a little behind. And I mean, but that's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
That it actually goes back to 1939. Very fascinating. Mm-hmm. Here we go. In 2015, a car successfully drove itself across the country. Auto supplier Delphi, which pretty much flies under the radar compared to companies like Google and Tesla, showed off its driverless Audi last year. The Roadrunner drove from San Francisco to New York City, navigating 15 states and 3,400 miles over the course of 9 days. While a driver was behind the wheel just in case, the car reportedly tackled 99% of the trip. Did you know about that?
Oh, no, I did not. That's impressive.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool fact.
Yeah. And it's called the Roadrunner. That's also cool.
Yeah, it is kind of cool. Here we go. Your car may already have some self-driving features. While fully driverless technology isn't yet a reality for most of us, the line between standard cars and self-driving ones is blurring. More automakers are equipping models with the sensors, GPS, radar, and laser technologies that enable automation. 10 million cars with self-driving features are expected to be on the road by 2020. And Jeff, right now we're at the tail end of 2018, so that's only like a year and a bit away.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Moving on, the technology isn't just for cars. GPS and sensor technology is being applied to tractors, mining trucks, cargo trucks, and more. Autonomous agriculture systems, which include self-driving tractors, have been in use since 2011, while 2 mines in Australia have been transporting all their goods with self-driving trucks since late last year. That's another fact I didn't know. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Here we go. Google currently has more than 50 self-driving cars on the road. The company's fleet includes 22 Lexus SUVs fully equipped with autonomous technology and 33 smaller self-driving prototypes. These self-driving vehicles can be spotted on public streets in Mountain View and Austin and have driven 1.4 million automated miles. What you think about that, Jeff?
I think it's pretty impressive. So there's nobody in these cars, in these vehicles? They're just driving
I
around?
think with the test ones, I don't know. I mean, I know that one across country, it said there was somebody there just in
behind the
case,
wheel,
but
yeah.
I don't know. It's a good question.
Because it would be like invisible, and you'd be drinking your coffee as you're, and you do a spit take because you'd be like, who's in there?
Let's go to the next one. Originally, Google self-driving cars weren't going to have steering wheels. When Google first announced its plans, project director Chris Urmson said the cars wouldn't have a steering wheel, accelerator pedal, or brake pedal because they don't need them. It seemed like those plans would have to change when the California DMV released draft rules requiring a steering wheel, brake pedal, and licensed operator. So there you go. And that's one of the other things too. Once driverless cars are can you imagine the number of laws that are going to have to change and be introduced? It's going to be crazy. The federal government wants to drop $4 billion to make self-driving cars a reality. Still, regulatory hurdles are expected to be one of the biggest bottlenecks to the adoption of driverless cars, especially considering variation between states. But the federal government is trying to front-run that problem. Besides the NHTSA's promising response to Google, the most recent budget proposal included proposed spending $4 billion over the next decade to test the technology and fast-track the creation of a regulatory framework. All right, here's another fact. Most accidents involving driverless cars have been a human's fault. All accidents involving Google's driverless cars have been the result of human error. The first reported accident took place when a human-driven car rear-ended the driverless one. In fact, advanced driver assistance systems and autonomous vehicles are expected to reduce crashes by 90%, but they're not always successful. On March 17, 2018, one of Uber's driverless cars struck and killed a pedestrian in Tempe, Arizona. Do you remember reading about that?
No, I didn't.
I don't.
Hear that. No.
I wonder why that wasn't bigger news. Because it should have been bigger news.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another fact. Self-driving cars could save you $1,000 on car insurance.
No.
Based on Google's no-fault history, insurance company Metromile calculated that annual car insurance for a self-driving car would cost just $250. Director Jason Foucher added that in a future where all vehicles on the road were fully autonomous, the car manufacturer would likely offer blanket product liability coverage, with the cost of insurance, repairs, and warranty included in the purchase or lease price. So what do you think of that?
Yeah, if it saves you on car insurance, that's good.
Yeah, if it does. I mean, it's true. There's the other another thing is the insurance. Yeah, the structure, the framework, all of it is going to have to be rethought for automobiles if they're all self-driving. Okay, and our last fact today, the technology is bringing back age-old ethical debates. The programming of autonomous vehicles is raising philosophical questions, the most popular of which is called the trolley problem. The debate is centered on worst-case scenarios. Should a self-driving car be programmed to protect the driver at all costs, or do the least amount of damage possible? Dr. Gregory Pence, a university philosopher chair, believes it's unlikely a car can actually be programmed to handle all scenarios and make such a decision even if the debate were settled. But he stressed that such ethical questions still need to be considered early on in the creation and adoption of new technologies like autonomous vehicles. It's time to move on to someone who can make more sense of this than we can, and that's the one and the only Lou Saracino in the Meltdown Minute with Lou.
Today we're talking about self-driving cars. I'll be very honest up front, I don't really get it. I love to drive. I love what it represents. I love that I can pick up and go. I love that I can play loud music in the car. And here's the thing, man. With this advent of self-driving cars, it's ruling out a whole section of songs, right? Because you can't really write driving songs about a self-driving car, right? Life as a highway becomes life, just life, basically, right? That's not nearly as exciting. And then you think about all these songs that are built around the culture of driving cars. The Beach Boys catalog is built around cars and surfing. You'll never hear the Beach Boys again, which is crime enough, folks, to not indulge in this self-driving car nonsense. Also, how lazy are we? Holy macaroni and cheese. Really? You can't get in. That's too much. You got to, and I got to turn the key. I'm exhausted. Like, what the fuck is going on? Just because you can do something, folks, doesn't mean that you should. Just because you can get your car to drive itself, that should be a much greater concern to you because, and I'll tell you why, One word. Skynet. That's right. Like in Terminator. That's what's going to happen. You get all these cars turning into these cyborgs. They crush you. We all die. They live and they rule the planet. What's happening?
I got one. Okay. So, get this. We own a self-driving car. I went out yesterday morning to go to the store, and it was gone.
Thank you, Lewis. And now for some Meltdown stupidness.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this is a list from Cracked magazine. So,
Crack magazine.
I'm just saying.
Excellent.
Hey, before we read this, Mad Magazine had Alfred E. Newman,
Yeah.
and Cracked had a character, and I can't remember if I ever knew his name.
Yeah, I mean, I could picture his face as clear as can be, and you're right, I can't name him.
Was it close to
Alf?
Alf? It was close or no?
I don't know. Man, that's a good question. I'm going to have to dip back into my childhood.
Yeah. But this comes from Cracked. 6 ways driverless cars are going to kill lots of people. So
I'm laughing, but really. Well,
Yeah.
if within the context of Crack magazine,
Yeah.
I think you can laugh.
yeah. Here's number 1. Self-driving cars are more likely to get in accidents for now. By the middle of the 21st century, once we're all puttering around in our Jetson mobiles, driverless cars will probably live up to their promise of being safer. Up to 90% safer than cars which depend on our stupid human brains to control them, in fact. That is undeniably awesome and would save more than 250,000 lives each decade, as well as hundreds of billions in healthcare costs. But until then, according to the studies we have available so far, driverless cars are far less safe than regular cars. 1 out of every 12 in California got in accidents over the course of just 6 months, and a longer study of all accidents involving autonomous cars between 2012 and 2015 compared to those involving just regular ones in 2013 found that the former were 5 times more likely to get into crashes. Even when they controlled for the fact that people don't usually report minor dings or fender benders, the self-driving cars were still 2 times as dangerous. Interesting. Here's stupid fact number 2. Self-driving cars always follow the law, and that's bad. Autonomous cars are programmed to absolutely always follow the law. Again, one day this means they will be a lot better than people because they won't be so distracted by rocking out to Whitesnake that they blow through a stop sign. But for now, while they are on the roads with cars that still have drivers in them, it means they can't react to ambiguity. No one follows traffic laws all the time. How many times have you sped up to make a red light or merged into traffic that was going above the speed limit? You have to be able to balance what is legal with what is safe in the moment. Driverless cars won't be able to make decisions like that, but are surrounded by people who do, which will lead to accidents. A very good point.
Yeah.
Very good point, Crack Magazine. Here's another stupid fact. People like steering wheels, but they make cars more dangerous. Right now, there is a fight brewing about how to introduce driverless cars to the populace. Google's driverless cars don't come with steering wheels, but most actual auto manufacturers want theirs to. This way they can kind of ease people into the idea. You could buy a car knowing that you could put it in self-driving mode on the highway, but take over during more complicated bits of driving. A study by Volvo found that virtually everyone, or at least 92% of you, would want a steering wheel in their first autonomous car. In reality, the moment of the switchover is rife with problems, similarly to how the most dangerous part of flying a plane with autopilot is when the actual pilot takes charge. What if a person hasn't been paying perfect attention and doesn't know the exact traffic conditions, or how fast they are going, or that there's a serial killer in the back seat, etc.? And what happens is we spend more and more time letting our cars do all the work and get out of practice. Plus, getting rid of our ability to break or bend the law means we are that much closer to that utopia. We just need to learn to let go, literally. What do you think about that? Because I saw you kind of going, yeah, during that one.
Well, it's the whole notion of, I think, if I ever get one of these cars, I would like to have a steering wheel just to begin with. It's sort of it's a safety net, so to speak. And but
Yeah.
I guess it's over time, you'll trust it more and more, and so. But I think initially I would need that that steering.
Yeah,
wheel.
because you would feel powerless, right?
Yeah.
If you had no way of taking over in a moment where you had to. But,
Yeah.
but I get that, though. But what this article is saying is true, though. If you're not fully aware, if you're snoozing, you know, in an autonomous vehicle, you could be taking a nap, wake up just in time to see something that you think is a potential problem, grab the wheel and actually create a problem.
Yeah.
You never know. All right, here's an interesting point. They can be thwarted by bad weather and incorrect GPS. One day, all the autonomous cars will be connected to a computer network that lets them know not just where all the roads are, but also where the hazards and other cars are. It will update quickly and pretty much always be current. A study by MIT released in August of 2014 found that Google's self-driving cars relied so much on detailed maps that they couldn't get around 99% of America safely. Obviously, it's gotten a little bit better over the past 2 years, but it's slow going. People who live in the middle of nowhere are not going to get safe access to driverless cars at the same time as people in major cities. So if they want to be an early adopter, they're going to have to risk crashing into a cow or two. Okay, here's another stupid fact. Self-driving cars will be programmed to kill. You know what? I should have said it this way. Self-driving cars will be programmed to kill. Is that better?
It's better. It's very dramatic.
Thank you. Even in self-driving car utopia, there will be unavoidable accidents. No technology is perfect. In that split second, the car has to make a decision about whom to save. That means it has to decide who to possibly kill. And that is why driverless cars will bring us into a brave new world of ethics. Think tanks are already working on this problem because we're going to have to decide if we want to be driving around in the real-life version of Christine. Which is a great movie, by the way. Don't you think? Stephen King, Christine?
I've never seen it.
Never seen it.
I know what you're speaking, though.
Okay, good.
There's still many movies I haven't seen that I will see one day.
And that's Jeff just made that promise on the Meltdown. All right, here's our last fact. They are dream targets for hackers and terrorists. It turns out all of the benefits are also equally huge downsides in the hands of bad guys. Reports have warned that terrorists could use this new technology by filling cars with explosives and having them drive to a destination with no one inside. And the FBI has already studied how criminals could become more dangerous once they have the ability to shoot at police during car chases without having to watch the road. And anytime you make something computerized or put it on a network, you are opening it up to hacking. Think tanks are already worried about what could happen if hackers took over cars while people were inside them. The best case scenario is that hackers take control safely but demand money to give it back. What's called ransomware attacks. More concerning would be taking over cars and using them to kidnap the occupants or turning them into deadly weapons. And that is one of the things that scares the crap out of me about driverless cars, is how they could in fact be hacked into. Could they be used? And well, you know the kind of world we live in. The probability is very good that once it's a mainstay, people will find a way to kill with them. It's just unfortunate. I mean, we've already got people like in where was it, in Toronto this past summer, driving vans on the sidewalk, mowing people down. Well, that's with the driver in it. Now, imagine if you could hack into a great number of vehicles that could all do that at the same time. Think of the mayhem that could cause. So we got to ask ourselves, Jeff, is this, do we really want to give up control of our vehicles? Like, I enjoy driving. I always have. I like feeling like I'm one with the vehicle. I actually enjoy driving standards more than automatics. I like steering. I like changing gears. I like it all. I wouldn't want to sit. If I wanted to go somewhere and not worry about driving, I'd either take a bus, a train, or a plane. But if I'm going to drive, I want the experience of driving. That's just me.
Yeah, and I like feeling in control, and as much as fascinating as these automatic cars or autos or whatever, it's fascinating. But yeah, I don't know if I'll ever purchase one myself, because I do like to be in control, and I'm sort of the what if guy, like what if, as you mentioned, the hackers or whatever the case may be. So, hey, fascinating stuff. But I think I'll remain conventional, so to speak, and.
Just going to stick to our old cars until they're outlawed, until the government makes us, trade them in for self-driving vehicles, which I don't know. Are we just two old crusty buggers who just don't want to change with change? I don't think so. I love technology for the most part.
Yeah, it depends what it is. Specifically talking about automatic cars, it's a bit different. I feel like I would not have the control that I need to have as a driver.
Yeah, and not to mention, if I was on the road, in the next few years, whatever it is, if I'm still driving, in the next however long it takes before we start seeing driverless cars everywhere, I'm not so sure I'm going to feel safe knowing I'm behind one. I'm going to be even paying more attention, looking around, seeing is that one driving? Is there a driver in that one? Like, that's going to be a bit weird.
Yeah,
that's going to creep me out somewhat. I think.
I think so. Yeah.
All right, so we've only got 2 more episodes left in this season. Can you believe that, Jeff?
Wow.
It's gone by crazy fast. Next week, we're going to be taking a look at one of my favorite subjects, sex. So we're going to be talking about sex. We're not going to be showing any examples of it. Let you use your imagination, but we're going to have some interesting facts about sex and some stupid things maybe that people have done, or I don't know. I'm sure there's a shit ton of material out there. Then our finale episode, Lou Saracino is going to join us right here. We'll squeeze him in somehow. There's not that much room today, but we'll squeeze him in. And we are going to be talking about space. That's right. That frontier that they call so final. Space. Everything space. Favorite space movies, TV shows. I could think of even some songs like David Bowie, Major Tom, all that stuff. Mars, traveling to Mars, terraforming Mars. All of that to me is fascinating. How right now it takes us about 8 months to go from Earth to Mars. 8 months. And what fascinates me more than the technology of getting us there is the psychology behind how do you pick a team that can stay in a tin can for 8 months without killing each other. And that is a huge thing that they're doing. It's one of the biggest things they're doing to try and ensure that everybody gets along. Because man, oh man, a month into the trip, you can't open the door and walk out. You can't turn the thing around. You are committed to going to Mars. And I'm fascinated by that. Yeah. What are you looking forward to talking about on that episode?
Well, there's many things. I know, speaking of the Mars, the expedition to Mars, sending humans to Mars, I mean, it's not just being in that tin can, as you said, for 8 months. I mean, they're probably not going to come back.
Right.
That's the thing. Talk about... It's one thing to be in that spaceship for like 8 months going there, maybe you've spent a month on Mars and 8 months coming back. I mean, there's a good chance that they're not coming back at all. That they could die on Mars, they could die on their way there.
Yeah.
So that psychology is quite fascinating. People that can do that. I would love to go to Mars, but there's no way in the world I would volunteer for this because I would want to come back and also, even if there's 7 of the nicest people, you're one of the 8, and your 7 colleagues, your 7 astronauts that you're with are nicest people in the world. I mean, being in, no, I just wouldn't be able to do it.
Close quarters that long?
Yeah.
I would volunteer if A, there were no requirements, and B, life was so shitty here that I wouldn't want to come back. Because Jeff is right. The work that they want to engage in, right? Building structures and building societies there, that's not going to happen, like Jeff said, in a month. You're not going there and then coming back a month later. You're going to be there for a long, long time, and possibly for the rest of your life, most likely for the rest of your life. What is possible? What isn't possible? All things space, and that's on our finale episode, so not next week, but the week after. So, just to recap, next week we'll be back, Jeff and I, and we will be talking about sex. So please join us, especially if you like sex.
You say sex?
No, I'd never say that. Until then, that's Jeff.
That's Norm.
See ya.